Alright, time for another double feature of weekly pack runs, and both of these are going to involve one of my favourite new tier 1s, and that is the Volcano Snail. So in this first game, we end up taking the solo Volcano Snail on turn 1. Almost makes it through, but not quite. Volcano Snail had a different ability on the test server originally. It would gain health on hurt. It was kind of a bit dull, to be perfectly honest, and very similar to Melee Tapir, I guess. So I ended up getting this ailment ability instead. So the ailment it applies is called Toasty, and it's basically like the junior version of Crisp. So after anyone attacks, the pet with Toasty takes 1 damage instead of 6 damage, which you get from Crisp. So it's kind of unusual, I think. It can create some interesting battles, but at the same time you do often end up in situations where you're doing 1 damage to a hurt pet, so it kind of benefits the opposing team. I'm not really sure how I would rework it, but honestly the artwork is so nice I'll take it just for the artwork alone. So yeah, a lot of teams in this weekly taking Melee Tapir and Bombas, although it looks like we're going to be okay here because we've got the double 100 White Bat. And I did originally have a couple of different ideas for Volcano Snail, which, yeah, some of them were a bit unrealistic. This weekly has Manticore in it, so I kind of wanted to have a game with Manticore plus Toasty. But of course, even though Manticore is a very strong unit, starting with 1 damage base, multiplying with Manticore just isn't going to create that much damage in the end. So we're also using Frigate Bird here for the in-shop ability. Being able to put rice on any unit is incredibly useful. Although I think in this scenario I'm going to end up keeping the Frigate Bird, so we're not going to get any gold back from the rice. But in general it is just good, you know, being able to take the 3 attack from Wall Chicken and removing the downside is great. Yeah, I was briefly thinking there about taking the Quail, which was the star of the previous weekly video. I'll link that in the description if you didn't see it. But instead we're going to go for a donkey game here. We find the donkey on turn 7, and there are tons of teams like this that have 1 or more of the danger pack units in the back line, like Sawfish or Pygmy Hippo. What's the other one? Ai, and there's also Grizzly Bear. Now there is Brussels Sprout in the pack. Actually, this team has 3 of them. But being able to pull the Ai to the front is just so devastating. But despite that, I actually saw very few teams taking Donkey and very few playing Brussels Sprout as well. So I don't know if that's just because this was maybe too early in the week for people to have adapted. So one of the options in this pack is to go for Farmer Crow with Blue Jay. There isn't a whole lot of scaling, so the fact that you can generate a decent amount of in-battle stats, I mean, there we got 5/5 on 3 units from the Blue Jay, which is pretty nice on turn 9. So I think we're basically just going to try and play a fairly low statted squad, but have us gain a ton of stats in battle. Now, Blue Jay is kind of awkward in this scenario because we don't have a lot of gold. I mean, we did have some tied up in the rice, but we're not going to sell the Frigate Bird. And of course, if you do face an opposing donkey team, or here we faced a Vampire Bat that removed one of the backline units, you can miss out on the value from the Blue Jay, which is why I end up taking the Popcorn there. And unfortunately, that was the turn where we went without actually getting any feeds onto the Blue Jay, so we're relying completely on the Farmer Crow to provide the corn cobs. But still, we're getting through these opposing teams pretty easily. Okay, I risk the pizza again. It doesn't hit the Blue Jay. I don't think Donut was in this pack. I've never actually tried that before. I assume Donut would work, you know, to make sure that a pizza hit a Blue Jay. Maybe I'll try that in customs at some point. But we're still getting through these opposing teams fairly easily. I'm not even sure if we've seen a single Brussels Sprout on the opposing side yet. Really would like some chocolate to be able to level up the Blue Jay as well. And here's another team with a Pygmy Hippo at the back, which just gets moved to the front and completely negated. Of course, the Volcano Snail only works when the opposing units don't have any perks. Yeah, here we do finally get a wall chicken to buy onto the Blue Jay, which results in the frigate bird feeding it. So we get 2 triggers for the price of 1. Now, we did manage to move the II here, but I think we could still be in trouble since they have a double backline unit. Yeah. Sawfish, just such a good unit overall. Again, we managed to find a wall chicken. Because this is a replay, I'm going to have to, and the replay bug still exists, we have to skip every time we use one of the in-shop abilities. Now this is more like it. Another II team, level 3. Finally the Farmer Crow faints, but they do have the Brussels sprout, so it actually blocks the donkey ability. So finally someone making the sensible choice and denying me the donkey value. But we do manage to get a soft ice there, so that's guaranteed feed onto the Blue Jay. And then the Blue Jay gains an ailment, which results in the frigate bird healing it for another feed, plus 14/14 on 3 units. Although they do have a very big giant tortoise in the back here, the fact that it has virtually no attack is going to be a problem for them. And we get the win with the Volcano Snail just as a bit of a passenger. Alright, next game, and we're going to actually try and use the Volcano Snail's ability in this particular game. I mean, I guess we were using it in the previous one, but there wasn't really any synergy on the go. It was just doing a tiny bit of extra damage here and there. So if Manticore is not really going to be too useful, the other pet that we did see in that previous run that would be useful is Vampire Bat. Because Vampire Bat doesn't necessarily care too much about the strength of the ailment that you use. It just has to be an ailment. So whether it's crisp or toasty, it doesn't really matter. Of course, if it's crisp instead of toasty, you do have a better chance of knocking something out. But I don't think crisp was actually available in this pack. So we're going to make do with our tier 1 ailment pet. I guess we'll just take the drop bear for now, and I think I'm going to freeze the wall chicken just in case we get another frigate bird. Probably going to end up losing here. They do have the tack in at the back. Yep, definitely. And I think here I was trying to get as many quail chicks as possible so that I could sell the pigeon and then use the free food to activate the quail chick. Maybe we're going to end up doing that in a second. Okay, we do it here, although we did buy sell, so it wasn't the most gold efficient option. There we go, we find the frigate bird. Now I can't remember if I end up keeping the frigate in this one or not. Of course it is just a generally good unit to have in a pack where there are quite a few ailments. Even if you're not going to be playing, even if you're not intending on using wall chicken yourself. We do lose here to Pygmy Hippo. There is another quail chick. So I think yep, here we go. Exact same process. And definitely freeze another wall chicken for next turn. Garanuk. Okay. I don't remember if I need Garanuk for this team or not. I guess we'll have to find out. Yeah, lots of teams with no equipment at this stage as well. So Garanuk doesn't really get a chance to do very much. And here you can see the perfect example of the tuna getting hit by Toasty, which ends up providing an extra hurt trigger, which is kind of unfortunate. But it's the risk we're willing to take to play Volcano Snail. And of course, like I mentioned already, that risk goes down as the game progresses because so few teams will have 0 equipment. Now, I think we might be alright this time around, yeah. And I definitely froze the 2 red peas in the shop last turn because we're getting lots of attack from wall chicken, but I definitely want a bit more survivability. So here we find the Vampire Bat. We do only have 1 ailment at the moment because the Volcano Snail is level 1, but we rolled 2 of them in the shop, which is perfect. Now, I'm not sure at this point if I had the achievement or not for Volcano Snail, so maybe that was also in my mind. Vampire Bat only has 2 triggers, so having level 3 Volcano Snail isn't really going to help too much. And actually, now that I think about it, I guess that's the reason that we need Gerenuk, is because if we go to the late game and we start facing teams that have lots of equipment, we need to remove some of that equipment for the Volcano Snail ability to actually go off at all. So this team only had 1 Brussels sprout, but the principle still applies. Unfortunately here the Vampire Bat gets sniped, so we end up losing. I think I'm going to try and get Rapid Vampire Bat level 2. Okay, here we go. We can also use Wall Chicken with Frigate Bird to get a 6 gold Flounder activation, which is pretty nice value. And then I just instant level the Vampire Bat, even though we're on 1 heart. I guess I felt more confident with a level 2 than 2 separate units. We actually face a fellow Volcano Snail Enjoyer. And the Vampire Bat gains a ton of health, instant knocks out multiple units. So I think you can see there immediately how strong this can be, even though the Volcano Snail's ailment is so weak. Especially in a pack like this where there's not a huge amount of scaling. And again, we're going to use the Frigate Bird to increase the poor attack stat on the Vampire Bat. Here's a funny looking 3 squad with Tardigrade. Now, Tardigrade does mess up the Vampire Bat slightly in the sense that it uses up the triggers on the summons when really we want to be knocking out units in their backline. But thankfully it worked out in the end. It's always nice to see people experimenting with small squad sizes like that team did. I guess we're just going to end up taking Pizza here. Don't really have space anymore for the Flounder because I want to run 2 separate Vampire Bats and maximize the value from the ailment. Again here, this is another team that has no equipment on turn 11. And it's just a tie. So fortunate to still be alive at this point, I think. Okay, we're going to take the Brussels sprout, are we? Or maybe I'm going to get rid of Frigate Bird now, yeah. I guess at this point, Wall Chicken isn't worth quite as much, and we don't intend on selling any of these units, so fair enough, the Frigate Bird can go. And then there is some decent equipment on offer in the form of Walrus. So both the Vampire Bats will have very high HP after the ability activates, so it should mean that they get to knock something out with the Peanut Butter. It would be incredibly good if Walrus still gave peanut instead of peanut butter, but we'll just take what we can get. And then level 2, the Vampire Bat. I'm not sure if that actually means that the Kiwano doesn't do anything now. I guess maybe we'll find out in a second. Okay, it does still do 10 damage and then 8 on the second one. So it is a slight damage boost, but ultimately I think we can probably get rid of Kiwano for defensive equipment instead. And here we take the win as a result of the Peanut Butter instant knockout. So I guess really at this point all there is to do is to try and level up the Walrus and Gerenuk. Since we're removing equipment from everything, we don't necessarily need high attack if we can have Peanut Butter on every pet. And here you could see me freeze the double Manticore because it was still in my mind to try and get the boosted version of Toasty. But honestly, we can't really spare space in the team at this stage. Pretty funny round here where the tree kangaroo activates the walrus and gives loads of different units peanut butter. And I think maybe at some point soon after this, I'm going to just buy whichever perk is available to make sure that the walrus can't get hit by tree kangaroo again. I think we're going to be, the Vampire Bat damage here is strong enough to knock out the Blowfish. And we had plenty of health anyway. So we're up to 8 wins. I don't really want to take the Fairy Dust there, but I could just take the Maple Syrup here, or Kiwano, just to make sure. Yeah, there we go. Now we have a full board of perks. We're guaranteed that Tree Kangaroo isn't going to do anything unless they also have Gerenuk. Although I don't really see too many teams having it. Another Blowfish. Unfortunately, we lose a Vampire Bat as a result, because they did have the level 2 Albatross. but looks like we're going to survive anyway. So just one more victory needed. I am going to go for the level 3 walrus first, is it? Okay. And maybe I should have gone for the level 3 volcano snail. I think I did mention earlier about the achievement. Definitely not going to get it in this run if we only have a level 2.66. And the albatross and Cerberus here get removed almost immediately. So the dolphin, although it is a strong unit, is not going to be able to do much on its own. So there we go, there's 2 different volcano snail teams in the current weekly. It's definitely been a nice change of pace playing the weekly pack, and I highly recommend checking it out before it disappears on Sunday night.